Welcome everyone to this week's Herp Monday. Today we are on Herp Monday number 2. I believe we got a good one, and if you are from Texas or anywhere in the southwestern US, probably heard of this again. We are actually going to start this one out a little different. We're going to start this out with a sound. Listen to that. It's a cicada. No, this one probably hurts more than this. If you do have a fear of snakes, this was a snake, by the way, please look away at this point, or at least prepare yourself. Today, we are talking about the Western Diamondback Rattlesnake, or the Crotalus atrox. Crotalus atrox, Western Diamondback, these are in the family Viperidae, or the family of vipers. Rattlesnakes are a known viper. These are known as pit vipers, so they are a selected part of there. You can see they have a pit right there that senses heat. So many people know that rattlesnakes can sense heat, but that's how they do it. Is actually special pits right here that are heat-seeking. These are also known as a Texas Diamondback. A lot of them in Texas. They are native to Southwest United States and Mexico. And they grow to about 120 centimeters, or about 4 feet in length. When you get over 5 feet is kind of rare. Over 6 feet is very, very rare. And the largest reputable reported one was over 7 feet long. Now, you're going to hear a whole bunch of anecdotal evidence. People say, oh yeah, I saw a rattlesnake 8.5 foot long, stretches from one end of the road to the other. And I'm not saying they weren't correct, but the largest one that has been scientifically kind of reported was a little over 7 feet tall. Most of the time, these snakes weigh about 1.2 to 2.7 kilograms, which is about 3 to 6 pounds. Some of them can get up to 6.7 kilograms, or about 15 pounds. So these are actually a relatively hefty snake. They are not small in any shape or form. These are actually the second largest bodied North American venomous snake, and I believe they are second only to the Eastern Diamondback. Don't quote me on that. I'd have to look into that, but I do know that these are the second largest bodied North American venomous snake. As you can see, usually they are a dusty looking brown, but they can get a little bit, more mottled. You look right here. This one doesn't have near as much brown in it. And then this one's still that brown, but it's more of a lighter brown. As you can see, they do have the diamonds on the back. And here's another good one where you can tell this is a smaller one, very, very young. They do have these developing diamonds on the back. There is usually 2 lines on the face. It's not always noticeable, but usually it'll have these 2 lines going from kind of splitting the eye. And as you can see, they have their tail has a black band separated by a white or a gray band. This is pretty indicative of the Western Diamondback. The rattle itself, they will get a new, what's called a button, which is one of these little segments on the tail. They get a new one every time they shed their skin. That does not mean that you can count the buttons and tell how old they are. It just means that you can say how much they shed their skin. And not only that, as you can see here, this one actually has a broken rattle. It's there. These will live to about live around 20 plus years. They can actually go for about 2 years without eating anything. These has very slow metabolism, so they can live quite a long time, and they don't really require all that much food. Diamondbacks are solitary except for mating season. Once they get in mating season, then they'll start to congregate. The Western Diamondback is actually much more aggressive than most rattlers. most of the other rattlers will do everything they can to get away. Western Diamondbacks are significantly more aggressive than other rattlesnakes, but they're actually not very well. I need to be very clear on this. They are toxic. Their venom is bad. Do not get me wrong, but they're not. The venom is not quite as toxic as other rattlesnakes. The difference is, because these are so much bigger, they actually deliver a lot more venom. Tons of venom in each bite they can. They don't necessarily have to. They actually do have control over some of their... They can control whether they just dump it or not. That's why they have something called a dry bite. Their venom is primarily a hemotoxic venom, which will break down your muscle fibers, your proteins. It actually starts dissolving you from the inside out. Neurotoxin hits your neurons. They do have some neurotoxic venom in their mix. It's kind of a mixture. It's called a cocktail. As far as their diet, they're eating rodents, anything kind of small that they can get their mouth around that they think they can. But primarily they're going to be going after rodents, small cottontails, small rabbits, birds, things like that. Birds are obviously a little unlikely, but if a bird happens to fall in front of them, they will eat. Something that is to note about these that is actually quite common in the rattlesnake world is these are ovoviviparous. And what I mean by that is these actually give live birth. So when the female and the males do breed, the female will actually retain the eggs inside of her body, and these eggs gestate to about 6 to 7 months, and then they hatch on the inside, and she gives birth to live young, and they'll deliver about a dozen young, somewhere around there, about a dozen or so. Now, something to note, a lot of people ask about this. The rattle, we're going to go back to the sound. That rattle right there, they can rattle their tail up to about 60 per second. So 60 times per second, a little over that. I want to say it's like 70, but over 60 times per second. It's an incredibly fast rattle. And that is a warning. That is not a hunting, and that is not saying they're coming after you. That is them saying, hey, I'm here. Don't get close to me. I don't want to be bothered. Very simple. If you do find a rattlesnake and they are rattling, slowly start backing away. Do not turn and run. Quick movements will result them in a strike. Especially when they are in this attack posture right here, when they are coiled up with their head raised, that means that they are in, a strike position. They are ready to hit you. Something to note, the bite radius, so how far they can reach. It's about 1/3 to 1/2 of body length, meaning that if you come across I'm going to do it in two ways. You come across a 6-foot snake in American, that thing will reach about somewhere between 2 to 3 feet away from where it is sitting. So that's how far it can strike, 2 to 3 feet. If you're in European, and those numbers don't make any sense, we'll go with like the average 120 centimeters in length. So the 120 centimeters, it will reach out to, it can reach 40 to 60 centimeters away from where it's located. So it has a significant reach on it. Do not think that you are far enough away from this unless you know. Now, as far as how fast they can strike, another reason why you don't turn and run, I can dodge it. These things will strike 2.95 meters per second. Again, 2.95 meters per second. That means that we'll go with the European system. And I don't mean that. It's the metric system, but Europeans are the more common ones who are going to watch my videos and use it. 120 centimeters, they're going 40, we'll say it's going 60 Centimeters, that is, it covers it too fast. That's a lot of math that I don't really want to do, but it's going to take it less than a quarter of a second to reach that. It's insanely fast. So please, if you do come across these, be wary. You do not necessarily have to be terrified. Just calmly back up. Do not step towards it unless you know what you are doing. And just leave it alone. So, thank you guys so much for this. I hope you appreciate it. I hope you like this. I know I enjoy these so much. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it if you do. If you do have a suggestion with these, I have 0 suggestions for Herp Mondays. So if you have a suggestion, please leave me a comment or come by, watch the Twitch videos. We'll have some fun, hang out. You can leave me a suggestion then. So thank you guys so much again. Take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and